Hey, you guys. Thank you for tuning in to the Manny Project. You are listening to episode 001, the very first episode. Honestly, guys, I'm extremely happy to do this. Welcome to the Manny Project. We try to reveal true stories of health, fitness, exercise, nutrition, and recovery. And you're going to hear a lot of stories from a lot of people. I do plan on interviewing people one-on-one to get their perspective, to understand their story, to understand their struggle and their success. And I hope we can all learn from this. I hope we can all walk away with something very productive that we can use. And I hope we all honestly get better, get healthier, and live a better life. So again, welcome to the Manny Project. I just wanted to use this podcast, my first episode, to kind of break down really the reasons why I'm doing this podcast. And to be very honest, as a lot of you obviously know, we've gone through COVID together. And for me, at least, it's created a lot of frustration. And the reason why it's created a lot of frustration for me is because whether it be COVID or post-COVID or this opening up phase, what was never really discussed about was how to be healthy, both physically and mentally. And I think what all of us saw was the constant rhetoric of fear and how many cases there were in Ontario and how it could be affected at a local grocery store or in your community. And I think honestly, we can be better than that. What I didn't really hear a lot about was how we can get better, how we can improve our immune system, how we can be healthier, and how we can improve. And I hope we can all learn how to be healthier, how to be more productive, how to make our immune system better, and honestly live a happier and healthier life. You're going to hear a lot of people come onto my podcast, and I'm going to have one-on-one interviews with them, going through their ups and downs, their high points, and even some of the low points. Because let's face it, a lot of our successes aren't as linear as we think they are. They're always up and down. We're going to talk about struggles with food, struggles with workouts, injuries, health, and ultimately some of those successes that we've had. So this podcast that I'm going to host is going to be based around 4 pillars, and 4 pillars that are extremely close to me. Things that I take into account every single day with every single thing that I do. And they're extremely important to me. So the first pillar that this podcast will be about is nutrition. And I am not a dietitian. I am not a nutritionist. But what I do know is that through trial and error, I have had some things that have been extremely successful for me and tried some things that have utterly failed. So one of the first pillars we're going to talk about is nutrition. The second is exercise and fitness. And it's extremely easy to go to the gym, but I think when we go to the gym, we all just need to have a general purpose, a reason for why we're going there, and making sure that what we're doing is intentional to the goal that we have. So talking a lot about exercise, fitness, what we can do at the gym and how we can improve, and how that will improve our immune system is extremely important to me. The third pillar that this podcast will be about is recovery. And recovery is extremely close to me as well. Many years ago, I embarked on a journey and embarked on a challenge for myself. And honestly, I would not have been able to accomplish my goals unless I thought about recovery. So recovery was always one of those things that is not the sexiest thing to think about, but something as simple as a deep stretch and breathing into a stretch and releasing that muscle will allow your muscle to perform more consistently over a longer period of time. So recovery not only incorporates stretching, but it also includes how we sleep and how we hydrate. So recovery has been a big part of my life, and I look forward to sharing some of my experiences and the experiences of my guests with everybody. And lastly, my fourth pillar that I think is most important to talk about is overall physical and mental health. And whether or not you've been working out for 2 months or you've been working out for 15 years, All of us go through battles, whether it be physical or mental. On the physical side, we'll definitely talk about some injuries that we've endured and how we have been able to take a next step forward and improve from there. On the mental side, whether or not you've been working at the gym for, 2 months or 15 years, some of us still struggle with the way that we look, our body image, and how we feel about ourselves. So what I look to get out and share with everybody is that we do also share that same insecurity and that same vulnerability. And honestly, it's nothing to be ashamed of. We all encounter it. We all endure it. But let's get through it together. Let's improve our health. Let's just take charge of our own bodies and our own health. So I'm excited to do this podcast. Be ready to hear from some of my friends, my colleagues, some professionals that have helped me along the way, along my journey. And you will hear one-on-one interviews with them over the next who knows how long. And listen to their experiences, listen to what they have to say. And honestly, leave here being inspired, have some fun with us, be motivated. And honestly, guys, let's get better. So what I wanted to do was talk about who I am a little bit and why I take this so seriously, because it is honestly a really big topic for me. I just wanted to talk about where I began. So my very first encounter of health and fitness was back in 2005 when I started training for my grade 12 basketball season. And it was a big deal for me because in grade 11, I kind of was a bit of a lazy bum. I didn't show to practice on time. I was always late. And honestly, I wasn't a good teammate. So what I wanted to do was dedicate my entire summer to prepare for that basketball season. So over the summer, I ran religiously. I improved my cardio. I smashed all of those suicides in tryouts, and I was ready for the 2005 basketball season at high school. And I had a really good start to the season. I was probably close to averaging like 14 to 18 to 20 points per game. I was on a roll, and somewhere down the middle of the season, I was going for a power layup, and I happened to tear my ACL. Luckily, my MCL and my PCL and LCL was all in shape, but I had torn my ACL in my left knee, and I didn't know what was going to happen from there. It was my grade 12 year, but all I knew was it was in January, and honestly, I remember the date just like it was yesterday. It happened on January 12th. The reason why I know that is because my birthday is on January the 13th. That year, January the 13th, happened to be a project for English that was due, worth probably about 20 to 40% of our mark. And on January 12th, which was game day for us after school, I didn't start anything for that project whatsoever. I wasn't prepared. I was ready to bomb it. I was ready to put in zero effort after the basketball game because I was going to be tired. And I was going to submit it somehow, some way, and just get my mark in and just see what happens. And what ended up happening was just before the game, I was begging, absolutely begging for something to happen so that I didn't have to go into school tomorrow. And of course, it happened. So, tore my left ACL. It took me months and months and months of recovery, going to physiotherapy, got some help through chiropractic, and got myself a nice big DonJoy brace. And for all you guys that have suffered an ACL injury, you guys know the pain of that DonJoy brace. So that year, I just wanted to get back on my feet. So then I ended up getting a gym membership in my first year of university. And honestly, just like every guy in university that just gets a gym membership, I had no idea what I was doing. I went to the gym, did chest, back, arms, and completely negated legs, even though I had a serious leg injury. But I was doing the typical guy workout. And honestly, that occurred for probably another 6 or 7 years of my life. I played a lot of sports. I was always into basketball, always into baseball, and you know what? In 2012, again, around my birthday, of course, around January, I partially tore my Achilles. And I can't tell you how much pain that was. But I also shouldn't speak because my sister, who had suffered a fully ruptured Achilles not too long before me, had just gone under the knife. So I kind of feel a little bit soft saying that I partially tore mine. But shout out to my sis. You got through it, and I have no idea how you did. Because when I partially tore mine, my left Achilles, same leg, was writhing in pain. It was swollen, it was massive, it was soft, it was liquidy, it was gross, and it hurt like hell. Even just trying to put my toes down really sucked. So, of course, got some doctor appointments, went through physio, went through chiro, went through the appropriate routes to try to get better. And what ended up happening was I was trying to do some exercises in physio that actually flared up my left MCL. So I started having a knee injury on top of my Achilles injury on the same leg. And I just remember at that time there was a lot of swelling, there was a lot of joint pain. My left leg wasn't really able to bend. It was just a really rough time. And I remember specifically being at physio, learning how to use a foam roller for the very first time on my quadricep or on my hamstring. And I do remember that my physio said, prop yourself up, use your hands, kind of, position yourself to hold your body in place. And the one thing I remembered happening after that, immediately as he taught me, was that for some reason my hands couldn't hold my body up. And I was a big guy. I wasn't light by any means. I was about 260 pounds, 250 pounds. But my fingers and my wrists just were not able to hold me up. And it wasn't that they weren't strong enough. It's just that they were swollen as well. So just as my knee was swollen and my Achilles, all of my fingers swelled up like little baby sausages. My wrist had an arthritis-like feeling where I felt like the Tin Man. I needed some oil, I needed some heat just to get them moving and just to get them loose. So something was happening in my body, something was changing, and I didn't know what it was. But I went through physio anyways, and I tried my best. 6 months of physio straight up until June. For some reason, it just didn't work. So I ended up venturing out to find another practitioner, and she was a godsend. She helped me massively. But what ended up happening out of all of that pain and all of that recovery was I was going through a lot of stress, both physically and mentally. Physically, it was obvious pain. It was every single joint in my body, both wrists, both hands, both fingers, my left knee, my left Achilles, everything was aching. And the increased stress from trying to deal with that, and of course some financial pressure from having to pay for each of these sessions, it wasn't cheap, but it also created a lot of stress, and it started giving me these little red dots around my skin. And being the guy that I am, of course, started picking away at them and ended up getting all these little skin lesions and little scaly patches around my body. And I knew something was happening. Something internally in my body was changing, and I didn't know what it was. I was still very young at that point. I mean, I say very young, but that was 25. But I was learning about changes that were happening in my body. And I didn't know how to deal with it. I ended up getting doctor referrals to go see dermatologists. I ended up getting a chance to go see some rheumatologists. And at the end of the day, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And for those who don't know what RA really is, it's not fun. It's not something I would wish on my greatest enemy. It's something that has kind of haunted me over the last 8 years, but it's something that I think I've gotten under control. And for those of you that don't know what it is, it can definitely create a lot of swelling in your joints. So you could have a finger that would just swell on you, but you need to manage it properly to make sure that it didn't damage the joint too severely. So dealing with rheumatoid arthritis, but also dealing with the fact that I still had to recover from an Achilles and knee injury was on my mind for basically all of the year of 2012. until around September, where I was finally able to get on my feet, pain-free. I was able to walk, able to run, and I was able to get back to sports, which I did. So that year, a whole 9 months after the initial injury, I was finally able to play the last regular season game of our baseball and get into the playoffs. And luckily, we won it. I didn't do a damn thing, but we got a championship, and that's all that kind of mattered that year. But what came out of that experience was that I never, ever wanted to experience that ever again. And I needed to research what my body was doing. I needed to research a new goal and honestly improve my health, get better, and beat this thing. I had no idea what this evil demon was that was on my back, but I needed to beat it. So in 2013, I pretty much started a New Year's resolution for myself. And just like everybody, my goal that year was to lose weight, but not lose weight in a small manner, but lose weight in a big way. I was 265 pounds going into that year. And at the end of 9 months, I got down to my goal weight of 187. So I dropped about 78 pounds. And I'm happy to say that I haven't really put on very much since that. But I just don't believe in weighing myself on the scale every single morning anymore. I just can't do it. It's not worth it. And honestly, I don't live by the scale anymore. I bet you I'm floating around 200, 205. But what's important to me is how I feel, how my RA and rheumatoid arthritis is doing, and how I'm managing it, and whether or not I feel strong enough to be able to do everything that I want in a day and more. So at the end of that year, as you continue to work out, I just continued to evolve where I was, and I thought that personal training was the way to go. So in 2015, I got my certified personal trainer certificate through CanFit and started doing some personal training on the side. But overall, I was just trying to experiment and try different things for my body over the next couple of years. So tried many diets. The keto, the pescatarian, the carnivore, the high protein, the low carb. I've tried everything. I was constantly searching for something that worked for me. And I think it really came all the way till 2019, basically the end of last year, where everything started coming together. And I had learned a lot of things from going to the gym quite a lot. I had learned a lot of things through supplementation and nutrition. I had learned a lot of things talking to doctors, physiotherapists, massage therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. I've learned a lot over the last couple of years, but I felt as if it all started coming together at the end of 2019, where all of these things were able to be measured using my Whoop strap. And for you guys that follow me on Instagram, I definitely post a lot about it. For those of you that know me, know that I talk about my Whoop strap quite often. And I believe I've gotten a measure as to understanding how I can try and experiment certain things that work for my body and get the validation that I need to make sure I'm being successful. So I'm looking forward to having the Manny Project, to hosting some guests, talking one-on-one, learning from them what has worked for them, whether it be from a health, physical, mental, on a recovery side, on a workout side. And I hope to share this to everyone listening. I know that COVID has had us locked in our houses, and whether or not we've been active or not, some of us have put on some weight, and some of us actually have come out of this looking extremely good. And kudos to all of you guys. For me, I really enjoy physically working out, and whether that be running, lifting some weights, getting out, stretching, doing some yoga. I just love being out there and being active. And I think COVID has showed us that we don't need a gym membership to do that. We don't necessarily need a brand new shiny bike to do that. We don't need the newest weight set. We don't need the newest dumbbells. We probably have a lot of those things that we could do in our homes as we speak today. And whether or not that's with weights, whether or not that's with a couch, there are things that you can do in your house to challenge yourself and improve our health. So I hope you guys enjoy the podcast. I will be bringing on a lot of friends, colleagues, people that are involved in the fitness and health industry. And I look forward to sharing with you guys a lot of the things that I've learned over the last 15 years of being in this exercise world. I just want to say thank you for tuning in, guys. This is episode 1 and hopefully one of many, many more episodes. Thank you for tuning into the Manny Project. If you want to listen to the podcast, don't forget to download the Podbean app and search The Manny Project. On top of that, you can find us on Facebook and our YouTube channel at The Manny Project. And of course, follow us on Instagram at the.manny.project. Thank you guys for listening. Until next time, take care.